I'm just looking this up for the first time, and he would be the #1 powerlifter of all time if he didn't miss a couple of lifts on technical errors. And he's not even a powerlifter. What's happening, everybody? Today we are talking about the strongest man to ever walk the planet. And I know what you're thinking. What a narcissist to make a video about himself. That's not true. No matter what my mom tells me, I am not the strongest person to walk the face of the earth. Now, there have been many guys who can contest for this title, all the way back to Bill Kazmaier, Mark Henry, Zydrunas Savickas, Brian Shaw. But my personal opinion is there's one person at one point in time that was the strongest human being on the planet. And I say this as both the strongest human and the best strongman. I would back him in either. And this is everyone's favorite Game of Thrones actor, Hafthor Bjornsson. Now, let's just go over a little bit about him. You know, of course, he starred in Game of Thrones, but he was a strength athlete for a very long time before that. He has numerous World's Strongest Man finishes. He has appeared 9 times, been in the finals 9 times, and he's won one of those. On the podium many, many times. I believe off the top of my head, I believe it's 8-time podium finisher at World's Strongest Man. But from 2016, when he did the Arnold Australia, all the way through to Iceland's Strongest Man in 2020, he kept a podium streak going. Now, it was 22 podiums, but we're talking about a 4-year span where he was not off the podium. Of those 22, 17 were victories, and 4 of those were Iceland's Strongest Man titles. One of those was the World's Strongest Man. Now, I'm going to make the case that 2018 Thor was the greatest strength athlete to ever walk the planet. During this 2018 year, he won the Arnold, then he won Europe's, then he won World's Strongest Man. All 3 of those victories in a span of only 2 months. Then he rounded out the year with a victory at the WUS Dubai, and this was a major title at the time where everyone turned up and was in shape. And he's one of only a few men to win 3 major titles in a year. That's the Arnold's, that's World's Strongest Man, and in this case, that's WUS Dubai. And I am attempting this for the 2nd time in 2024. I'll compare myself to him in a minute. But in 2018, Thor had 5 out of 5 contest wins. If we peel one layer back of the onion, he was top 3 in all but 5 events. Excuse me, all but 3 events. He was 25 for 28 for hitting top 3 in individual events. This puts it at 89% chance that year that if you're watching an event that he is in, he is likely to be top 3. It's 89%. Of those events, 28 events, he won 12 of them, meaning that 43% of the time he beat the entire field at the individual event. Now, I've said many times, if you don't know Strongman and how it's scored, you don't need to win all the events. You just need to accumulate the most points. So a lot of these, since he's winning so many events, a lot of these were not even close. Now, I've been told that 2023, I've been asked, 2023, how does that compare to Thor 2018? Are you on the same level? Well, in 2023, I had 4 contest wins. 3 of those were majors, just like Thor, but I did lose once. So to me, losing once writes it off completely. But if we dive a little bit deeper, I was top 3 in 86% of events, 38 of 44. That's compared to Thor's 89%. And I only won 14 out of 44 events. That's 32% compared to Thor's 43% win rate. If we look at this year, I have 4 victories this year, 1 second. I've already lost. Done. I think being undefeated is the biggest part of this feat. Of 34 events I've done so far, I have 30 top 3 finishes. That's 88%. And of 34 events so far, I have 15 event wins at 44%. These are close to Thor's numbers, but I was beat by Tom Stoltman at World's Strongest Man. So that, to me, sort of negates my 2024. If you want to disagree with me in the comments, go ahead and do so, but I don't think it holds a lot of water. The one thing I should mention as well, he won all 5 of these contests. And when we're looking at individual events, oftentimes you've already won the contest by the time the last event rolls around, or at least you know you don't have to do as much as you otherwise would. You sort of pull back, you go into second gear, and you just enjoy the moment a bit more. I've been fortunate to be in that position a handful of times. Obviously, Thor has as well. So when we talk about top 3 in all but 3 events, it's quite possible that a couple of those events were intentionally not coming top 3 because he just didn't need to at that stage. Now let's talk about numbers, because in the end, I don't care what area you're in, the number is the number, and you're either stronger or not stronger. Just in 2018, Thor at the Arnold threw a 43 kilo sandbag over a 15-foot bar. That set a new world record. At the same contest, he deadlifted 472 kilos on the elephant bar raw, which was a world record, until 1 year later when he pulled 474 kilos. For context, the best that I have ever done is around 445 kilos, I want to say, on the elephant bar. And this year, Thor won the deadlift with 1,000 pounds easier than I've ever seen it. That's 453.5 kilos. He was well capable of pulling more than this after he came out of retirement. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, we got 4 reps on the Apollon's wheels. That tied a world record at the time before I broke that world record at the Arnold in 2024. He had a 213 kilogram max log, a 255 max barbell press, and a 520 kilogram 18-inch deadlift. These are all numbers from 1 year. What you have to appreciate is you don't have the opportunity every single contest to be setting new PRs, to be getting world records, either because the contest has fatigued you and it's not possible, or because it's just not required. You're just there to get the points. If we add in a couple of all-time numbers, he has the 501 kilo deadlift. If you want to see that deadlift get broken, there is a chance that it's going to happen in Vegas in about a month's time. The link to those tickets is going to be in the description. Please go ahead and check that out to support Strongman and support some huge numbers getting done. Other than that deadlift, he's done a 206 kilogram max axle, and I believe he has a case to be the best stone lifter of all time. And if not him, he would be second to Tom Stoltman. Now, like I said, that is, to me, that is the best. That is the hardest person to beat of all time. Do I think I could beat that version? I do, with the right events. With the right events, do I think he'd be unbeatable without a mistake? Probably. Now, he retired in 2020. He went off and did other stuff, and then he's come back to Strongman, and this is really what's put him back on my radar, and I've had the privilege of going head-to-head with him 3 times. Now, I wanted to make this video because I've beat him 3 times, but it's someone on their way back from where they came from. And first of all, I just think it's a privilege to be able to compete against someone who is, I believe, the strongest person of all time, and to be there for the journey of him getting back to 100% and running this back in full form. We're going to do it again at the Rogue Invitational. But I do want to speak about the comeback a little bit. He has spent about 18 months getting back to Strongman after dropping 100 plus pounds to go into boxing, go into fighting, do a couple of other different things. But he is back with an absolute vengeance. So in terms of the contests that he's done since coming back from his retirement, which was a 4-year span, I have hardly done Strongman for 4 years. When I started Strongman at the local level, Thor was at his peak, and now he is back. He did the Arnold Strongman Classic, which he came 4th, but him and I were very, very close until the last event, which unfortunately he zeroed. Then he went to the Arnold UK. He came 2nd. He won Iceland's Strongest Man extremely convincingly, and he just came a close 2nd to me at the Strongest Man on Earth. The thing that I think is most interesting in this comeback and why I think we might see a new strongest version of Thor is because there's many things that he's actually better at now than he was before, which sounds like a crazy statement. But at the Arnold in 2024, when he deadlifted 456 kilos, there is absolutely no question in my mind that that could have been 480 kilos and he still would have pulled it. I would back him to be stronger deadlifting now than when he pulled 501. He put a little teaser out a couple of days ago talking about when he might break the 501 deadlift record, and he said that he's keen to do it. He just needs the right opportunity. I believe that's likely to come up in 2025. The things that he is better at, we got deadlift, timber carry. He set a personal best at 8.4 seconds. Grip was one of his weaknesses. When I knew that Thor was coming back and I was looking and I was doing my predictions and calculations for the Arnolds, I thought that's a place where I would gain a good number of points on him. Well, not true. He came 2nd and he was a little over a 2nd off of the world record. Then we had Dinny Stone replicas. Again, grip, not really his thing, but he broke the previous world record, only beaten by me, and he came 2nd in that event. That would have been a PR for sure for him. At the Farmers Walk at the Arnold UK, really, really good result. Again, grip, not necessarily his thing. The power medley yoke has always been good, but I haven't seen him move that fast with a yoke before. Maybe that's my lack of experience or knowledge, but he walked 1,000 pounds very, very easily. He set the keg toss world record. He set a single arm sandbag toss world record. He is really in as good a shape as if we have ever seen him, bar one thing, and that is his ability to press overhead. And this is part of the allure of Thor and how he's the strongest person of all time, in my opinion. He did a little aside from Strongman, and he did a powerlifting meet. Now, this powerlifting meet is now unfortunately infamous because he tore his pec, and that pec is still what he's trying to recover from, and why his overhead pressing isn't back to where it was in the past. People might often forget he pressed a 213 kilo log overhead. That is definitely top 10 of all time. This year, the Log Lift World Championships are coming up. They're in 6 days' time, and it's likely that 210 kilos is going to be the winning number for those who go on to do the full competition. So his pressing was also up there with the best in the world at the time. Now, this powerlifting meet, he squatted 970 pounds, but he tried to squat 1,014 pounds, and it was disallowed due to depth, but it was damn close, and it certainly was not a problem for him to go down another inch or two based on how well it moved. So he's a 1,000+ squatter for sure. In this competition where he completed the full thing, he benched 551 and he deadlifted 903 pounds, narrowly missing 948 pounds. That gives him a total of 2,425 pounds, or in kilos, 552 dots, 1,100 kilo total. For a guy who's 6'8", you are not built to powerlift. Just to come out and hit an 1,100 total is absolutely absurd. If we go to any sort of ranking and we just go by all-time total for people who are raw plus reps, Thor has the 15th best total of all time. I cannot actually believe that. This is the first time I've looked it up. He has the 15th best total of all time, but he missed his last deadlift, which would have bumped this up considerably and likely would have taken him up to top 3 all time. Definitely would have taken him to top 3 all time. If he had that squat and that deadlift, he would be the #1 powerlifter of all time, and he's not a powerlifter. To show you how absolutely absurd these numbers are. Now, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. I know Zydrunas gets a ton of love, and he is the most accomplished strength athlete of all time, but I personally believe 2018 Thor, there is no debate in my mind that is the standard for the person to beat. That is the standard that I now have to chase to consider myself one of the best of all time. And we'll see if I get there. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and follow along the journey for education, training tips, etc. If you want to support the channel even more, go ahead and check out the merch shop, the Lift Heavy Be Kind merch shop. Try and put a positive message out there into the world to inspire other people to get out there and lift and live their healthiest life in body and in mind. And if you want to get your deadlift, your strength up to the best that you can be, whether that contests Thor or myself, or just contests your dad or your son, go ahead and check out my programs are at the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Really appreciate your guys' support. The channel has absolutely blown up in the past year and a half, and I just want to express my gratitude for that. I really cannot believe it. I do things and I sort of have ideas and I get them started and get them going. I never really fully anticipate what they might become. And a lot of these things have come to fruition. I don't take it lightly. And that's why part of the clothing profits go back to charitable donations, why I'm always donating back to gyms, because I have been so disproportionately rewarded in my life. It's my mission to give back to you as much as possible, whether that's monetary, whether that's entertainment, whether that's information, education. That is the purpose of the channel, and that's what we're here for. As I always say, lift heavy, be kind. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll catch you tomorrow.